We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode of Movie Mania Podcast, where we talk films past, present, and future. I'm Sherman Troy White of Podcast Media, and joining me is the man, the myth, the legend. Could it be? Yes. It's Trilbee / Mr. Toddus.
Hello, everyone. Yes, you do not adjust your monitors. Do not adjust your audio head device. It is us. We are back. We after an unintentional hiatus.
Hey, it's the Movie Mania Podcast, live and in stereo. If anyone had seen that trash Netflix show knows what I'm talking about.
And in color.
Live, presented in CinemaScope. Alright, so we should probably do...
It's the internet and it's live on Saturday night!
This is why we're going to come in on Monday, because I'm so lazy. Alright, so, watch. It's going to be 3 weeks to post this now.
Oh,
actually,
typical.
Well, yeah, well, to be fair, it's summertime now. School let out yesterday.
Oh, excellent.
Yesterday being Thursday the 2nd. We should probably do a preface by saying Bandit's at work, because he's a working man again, if you haven't seen his YouTube video. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I honestly don't know what to say about the iTunes or SoundCloud thing. That was never really my department. But what I will say is that it will continue to be put up on YouTube. And to all of those people saying that they can't access it on YouTube, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. At this point in time, YouTube is the best place to find the podcast for any of these guys. Still wondering.
So does it not work on SoundCloud at all? Or is it just on iTunes where you can't find it?
Well, last I heard, since the podcast had become more sporadic throughout this year, Bandit, I believe, had stopped paying it, which is understandable, which then means that it reverts back to not the account that Movie Mania has. We can't post anything on there, and the iTunes and SoundCloud are connected, I think, as well as the Podbean. So yes. I think if you try to access all three of them, all that's on there is the Ice Cube episode, which is odd.
Well, I had the same issue with Film Brits when I stopped paying for SoundCloud when I'd stopped doing it initially, because once I stopped paying for it, all of the episodes that I had uploaded while I was paying for it were like privatized. No one could listen to them. So
yeah.
if you were paying for SoundCloud and you stopped paying for them, they essentially hold your downloads hostage, which I think is a bit of a dick move.
Yeah, and I mean, look. I mean, they're not as. I mean, you want to talk about dick moves? YouTube's doing great right now, isn't it? Yeah, it is a real rough time. May has been a really terrible month. For me, personally, that reason I won't get into, but just in general, May has not been a fun time. Roger Moore died, but we'll get to that when we get to the movie news.
Yeah, but it's been a busy couple of weeks and month for all involved, like Bandit restructuring his channel and going into normal work, quote unquote normal. Trey, you've been doing a short film. And
Equation's been going at it.
Yeah, and I've been finishing a BBC project, and then next week we're recording this on Saturday night. We normally do Sunday because tomorrow I will be on a coach to London because I'll be doing some more jobs next week. So it's
now coach meaning you'll be on a plane flying coach, right?
No, on a bus.
Oh, okay. See, would never thought that. Okay.
Well, it's like if you get it by train, it's about £80, which is like $120, $130.
Yeah.
And because the rail service in the UK is a bit of a joke, it's really expensive. But if you get it by bus or coach, it's like £15, which is about $30. So, yeah.
If you hear me sipping something, I'm drinking my hot tea in your honor, Trilbee.
Oh, it's actually, I'm actually on my second beer of the night. So this is going to be a wild podcast.
Drunk Trilbee! This ought to be fun. Yeah, so we're just going to be talking about some of the things we've missed in the last couple of months.
Was it back in December or January when I was drinking mulled wine during the podcast?
It was probably
the best thing we've ever recorded.
It was the last week in October. It was the Cornetto episode. I believe it was.
I'm going to get a third one of these.
It was right before Doctor Strange.
That was fun. So yeah,
it was in the golden age. We're in like the silver age of comics right now. You know what I'm saying? We're in a different time, a different era. We can swear now.
Tits.
What'd you say?
Tits.
Okay. Trilbee, do you watch House of Cards?
I've seen like the first 3 episodes about 20 times because I keep on I watch the first 3 episodes, never find time to watch the rest of them, and then I think, oh, let's start again. and then the cycle repeats.
So you've seen 60 hours of House of Cards, which you've only
Roughly.
seen the first 3 episodes. Well, I'm about halfway through season 5, so no one tweet me spoilers. But my God, is it not? It's just exceptional. You got to get into that show.
I really want to get rid of.
But before you do that, so we can talk about it when it comes on, Game of Thrones comes back in July, and you got to keep up, Trilbee. You got to catch up on that.
I have watched 2 episodes.
Have they been
of the first series?
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm like, all right. Honestly, though, if I were you, I would just start with season 6. But that's just because season 6 kind of reboots the whole series, in my personal opinion. But if you want to be a true fan about it and really get invested with all the characters, you ought to start from season 1.
Okay, so when you say Series 6 reboots the franchise, would you say, is it like a James Bond reboot where they just different cast and nobody says anything? Or is this a DC Comics Superboy punches the universe thing?
It's more like a Sherlock Series 4 Stephen Moffat wants to try again reboot. Where like
that's not
at
good.
the end. Well, it's done far more tastefully to where it's like all the kind of unnecessary stuff in the show is kind of taken out, and it's like, okay, let's set up for what's really going to happen here in these last 2 seasons.
Okay.
And that's not giving away any spoilers. Speaking of spoilers for pretty much all movies we're talking about today, except Wonder Woman, since that's a fairly new movie out, and I haven't seen it yet, and I want to see it, so I'll be seeing that probably sometime next week. Yeah, you go ahead and spoil Guardians and Alien. That's whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been avoiding spoilers for a month, and I haven't gone around to see it. That's my bad. What was I going to say? What was I going to say next?
Was it
let's get to
your trademark transition?
Yeah, let's get to the movie news.
You're a bit rusty here, Trey.
Absolutely. I'll be honest with you, Trilbee. If you're on your 2nd beer, I'm probably on my 3rd cup of coffee. It's only 4 o'clock.
Surprised you're not bouncing off the walls.
Coffee makes me sleepy.
Let's get to the news! I'm surprised it's not that.
Now we're just gonna get into the movie news here, guys, and chaos theory. All right, movie news time.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
All right, guys, this is the movie news portion of the show. In case we talk about the movie news that has happened in the last few weeks. Yeah, months, whatever. Jesus.
This is going to be a greatest hits of the news for the past few months.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, I stopped watching Spider-Man trailers about 6 months ago, so... in other news, have you heard the Michael Giacchino Spider-Man score?
Yes, and it's basically the orchestrated
so
Spider-Man swing. So it's amazing.
Someone took that little clip of it and put it over like the new Marvel intro, and like I can send it to you if you find, but it's like the way it's like
that was my introduction to it. That was my introduction to the music. I've not seen the actual, because there is footage of Michael Giacchino with the orchestra. He's conducting them to the music, but I only heard it with that Marvel logo.
Yeah, I found that video. I was like, that sounds really good. Like, it starts off kind of Danny Elfman-like, and then it just kind of keeps building. And then, like, that's the Giacchino I know. None of this Rogue One, Doctor Strange nonsense.
It just proves that adding an orchestra makes everything better.
Dude, when those horns kick in at the end, oh, man, I won't lie to you. I got chills, man. So, in other news, Trilbee, are you a horror? You're a horror fan, right? You're a fan of good horror.
I thought you were going to ask, Trilbee, are you a whore? I never thought you'd ask.
And your brother's a whore.
Yeah, I like my horror. What do we got?
Well, I just wanted to briefly bring up the fact that I'm excited for this movie called It Comes at Night with Joel Edgerton. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's from A24.
I've been hearing about it. I've not watched any trailers for it though, but it looks really interesting because A24 have been on a roll recently. Like they've done some great work recently. One of the last films I saw was Free Fire, which is just a great low concept, low budget.
I didn't love Swiss Army Man. I think that's the last one of theirs I saw. Didn't love that one.
I wasn't big on it either.
Felt very pretentious to me. Yeah. I like the fact that it was original, but I mean that's all it has going for it, in my opinion.
No, but they're on top of the world right now after they distributed Moonlight, didn't they? They made Moonlight, didn't they?
That's right, they did do Moonlight, yeah. Yeah, they're on the top of the world. You know what else I found out? So apparently Chris Evans and someone else, I forget his name. I think it might be Josh Gad, I don't know. It's Chris Evans and someone else is going on Broadway, and they're going into this play directed by the guy that directed Manchester by the Sea, and I just started falling asleep. Because I mean, I don't know. I just want to bring it. Like, everyone says, I don't know. Have you seen Manchester by the Sea?
I haven't yet. No, it came out on Blu-ray like this past week. So
it's awful. And anyone that
Really?
says it's good, I mean, yeah, everyone loves it so much, and everyone's praising it, and everyone's like, it's just. It's a movie, really. It's just people talking for 2 hours, and I know that can be really interesting, but you got to have good writing and interesting characters. I was really bored pretty much the whole way through.
I'm led to understand it's more of an actor's showpiece than it is an actual film. Like, you get quite a few of those around Oscar time.
Which I have no problem with. I mean, a movie like Steve Jobs or Hateful Eight is pretty much just people sitting in a room talking for 2 hours, but, well, 3 if you're Quentin Tarantino. But I just think that, I don't know, it really bored me to tears, and I got real sick of hearing the F-bomb in a Boston lingo or whatever. Just because it just, I don't know, I can't get behind that kind of movie. It really bored me to tears. That's what random tangent. We still haven't gotten to the movie news.
So yeah, it comes at night.
Yes, and Comes at Night looks really good, and I just wanted to bring that up in case I forgot to bring it up later.
That's right. No, I'm looking forward to it mainly because of the talent involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you saw The Last Jedi trailer?
I did, yes. It's not quite stuck in my mind like, let's say, the original like Force Awakens teaser trailer, but it looked really good.
What I will say is this. First of all, the poster for it, awesome. It's very 70s. It's very classic Star Warsy. I think that if that's the poster, I feel like the poster that we're actually going to get, like the theatrical poster, is going to be more attuned to the Force Awakens.
Drew Struzan floating heads.
Drew Struzan, floating heads poster, which I have no problem with. But I love that kind of art of that poster. I love clearly that this is going to be a story. What this tells me more is that Finn is officially a supporting character in this franchise, because he is nowhere on that teaser poster, which is whatever.
Or at least for this film, things could change in Episode 9.
Perhaps. Oh, you know what? My theory still stands, so perhaps, you know what I'm saying?
Which is your theory? Remind us.
My theory is that Rey's going to turn to the dark side and kill Luke Skywalker, and that's how this movie ends. Is that Rey kills Luke Skywalker by turning to the dark side.
See, that's... I don't think she'll kill Luke, because it would just be too reminiscent of the death of Han Solo. But I do think that a turn to the dark side is on the cards for this film.
I think it would be... If she's gonna turn to the dark side, we need some kind of action that really solidifies that she's going to be on the dark side. And I think that killing Luke Skywalker and killing Han Solo symbolize two very different things. Because killing Han Solo is someone trying to separate themselves from their family and really trying to show that they're an evil person. But killing Luke Skywalker, that truly makes them the last of the Jedi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Also, how cool is it that The Force Awakens The Last Jedi? I love that so much. I really think the third title keeps connecting it.
I am looking forward to the film. But the teaser was decent. I think I'm mainly more looking forward to it because, of course, it's Star Wars. It's a big event, and I loved Rogue One, even though even you weren't as big on Rogue One, and we had interesting talks about it. But
I like it less and less every time I watch it. I'll be honest with you.
I'll be honest, I haven't rewatched it since I saw it theatrically. My opinion may change, but
there it is.
That is neither here nor there.
The last 2 minutes are still incredible.
Yeah.
The trailer itself, it looks so different from Force Awakens in all the right ways. I feel like Rian Johnson really is going to bring a different kind of style than what JJ has had. My only concern is that I don't want to see another space battle. I'm kind of sick of Star Wars space battles. We got like 40 minutes of it in Rogue One. We've seen unless they can find something new to do with it, and new being because unless they have a bunch of new style for ships, I'm tired of seeing X-wings and TIE fighters and B-wings and all that. I want to see something new because Rogue One really burned me on that. I feel like I'm watching a Battlefront playthrough.
Yeah, I think we could always do more space battles in Star Wars, but I can understand the fatigue after Rogue One. I would, if they're going to do a space battle, they do need to do something drastically different, and have a space battle inside of a moving hangar bay or something. The Star Destroyers have got hangar bays inside of them. Imagine if it's moving, so you are technically inside of the Star Destroyer while you're flying these craft. Something original like that, I don't know.
maybe someone has to land their ship onto a Star Destroyer, and they have to have like some kind of like blaster battle on top of a Star Destroyer while it's moving in space.
Yeah.
And like they're gonna go to warp speed in a certain amount of times. They have to get back to their ship in time. You know, something more like that. I don't know, just something other than look at X-wing. I gotta taste out a TIE fighter.
Yeah,
look,
do a barrel roll.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, so something a bit more original to. Like, if you're going to do a conventional space battle, you're not really going to top the end of the Return of the Jedi above Endor. That was just one of the most awesome space battles committed to film.
Well, that third act of Return of the Jedi is so bloody good. That's the only reason it doesn't get a rotten score, in my opinion, is because that third act. Good. Yeah.
I think I wasn't a big fan of Looper, which is the film that really put Rian Johnson on the map.
Get out of here.
Well,
Scram.
I had a similar problem with Looper as I did with It Follows, where it sets up its own rules and its own mythology, and then just proceeds to break the rules throughout the entire course of the film.
Are you talking about the guy losing all his thumbs and fingers and arms?
I'm talking about basically the entire conceit of the film and everything that happens in the third act.
I feel like, unlike with a movie like It Follows, I think Looper while it does abandon some of its rules, I think they set up that really wasn't the point of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, the whole point of It Follows is this monster is coming after these people, and we have to know how to kill it, so they give it these rules. And they immediately break it. But Looper, I think, that diner scene, I think, excuses a lot, because that's the movie clearly saying, listen, we don't really care about the time travel. We're just trying to tell a good story here. And I think that there are certain things that it does stick to. I think it has that Terminator 2 thing of, we were never really meant to... The future doesn't necessarily really change. It's all kind of fixed in time kind of thing.
I get you. I just think that... I don't think Looper's a bad film. I recall giving it a 5 out of 10, I think. And I think that Rian Johnson did a great job visually with that film, because it looks twice its budget. I think it looks really striking. But after Rogue One, Disney and Lucasfilm have been able to take directors whose previous works I wasn't really a fan of and making great films out of them. So I'm optimistic about The Last Jedi. But yeah, the trailer was good. It just seemed to follow the same beats as the Force Awakens one. It even started with a bit of a jump scare of an exasperated person.
Yeah. How cool would that be if that was the first shot of the movie? How cool would that be? I love that idea.
What, making it like a jump scare type
well,
thing?
just like it's such a cool idea of like, because the trailer starts out and it's like, oh, it's stars, or we're in space, and then like it forms to a rock, like, oh, we're actually looking at a mountaintop, and then it's actually like a really close up shot because we see the hand. Like, so much changes in like 5 seconds. I think that's a really cool idea for an opening shot. I wish they didn't put it in the trailer.
Oh, anyway. Just one more thing about The Last Jedi. I think was it Entertainment Weekly who did a couple of pictures of one of their features a week or two ago.
That one of Luke and Leia is
Carrie Fisher
rough.
and Mark. And there was even a photo of Carrie Fisher's daughter and those two hugging. It's you hear comments saying that apparently Episode 9 was going to be Carrie Fisher's film, which I don't know if that's just trying to extend her legacy or try and make her...
apparently that's what she told Rian Johnson at like the rap party or something. Like they finished filming, and she's like, I better be the forefront of 9. This was Luke's movie. The next one better be mine. Apparently that's what she said. I've heard so many conflicting things. I've heard that she was never meant to be in Episode 9. I've heard that Episode 9 was not going to be her movie. I heard she was going to have a major role. I've heard so many conflicting things. At this point, I think at the time of all this commotion happened about a month ago, I don't think Disney really knew what they were going to do to Episode 9, because I think that Carrie Fisher's death really threw them for a loop, especially considering it's nice that Carrie Fisher is the bridge between the prequels and the original trilogy. I'm getting a phone call. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Trilbee stall.
Okay. But, yeah. I'm terrible at this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Stalling Tactics show from Trilbee. This is the debut episode, as you can probably tell. But yeah, about Carrie Fisher, there's just... she is one of the holy trinity of the original Star Wars trilogy, so of course when she passes away, or like they have no idea what to do, or that hopefully they're going to make the best of a bad situation. And of course when you lose Han Solo in Episode 7, spoiler alert for Episode 7 for the three of you who haven't seen it, when you lose Han Solo in Episode 7 and then you lose one of your main stars after filming Episode 8, you're in a very awkward situation. So, did it work, Trey? I heard some noise.
You heard me cutting my microphone back on?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I heard it.
Yes, it did work. And in fact, before I jump to the next story, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after these commercial messages.
I'm going to get more beer.
Should we touch on the Justice League thing?
Yeah, I think that is a good transition from what we were talking about with Carrie Fisher and that, oddly enough.
Yeah. Oddly enough, morbidly enough. So, I recently was on Facebook about, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I saw that Justice League was having additional scenes filmed by Joss Whedon. And he's like, Joss Whedon has taken over the project of Justice League, and my first thought was, what? I was like, what? and so I looked into it more, and it was because Zack Snyder has been dealing with some unfortunate family issues for the last few months, and he was hoping to work with help, but he has decided to step down for the project so that he can handle those issues. And, respectably, DC, because, it's a business, brought Joss Whedon on to do some additional filming. Now, this begs the question, is Joss Whedon still doing Batgirl, or is he going to take over for Justice League 2?
Well, I think Warner Brothers have handled this situation the best way they possibly could have done. Because this is, obviously, it's terrible what's happened. For those of you who don't know, a few months ago was Zack Snyder's and Deborah Snyder, who was a producer on the DC films, their daughter committed suicide a few months ago. And this was made very private. Like, this was not a news story a few months ago. They kept it very hush-hush, respectfully so. And it was with this announcement that Joss Whedon would be overseeing the reshoots and that Zack Snyder would be stepping away for the rest of the shoot that the news came out. And Warner Brothers allegedly offered Zack Snyder some additional time to recover, for him and his family to emotionally recover, and they would push the release date of Justice League back if necessary. And Zack Snyder said, no, we'll move on. And he tried to push through it, as you try, like, if you have gone through a tragedy like this, you want to maybe try and work through it and take your mind off it. But him and Deborah have got about 4 or 5 kids, and he wants to be there for the kids. But the both of them do. So this is a terrible situation for all involved, really. And because Joss Whedon has recently become part of the family doing this Batgirl movie, allegedly, I think it's more or less confirmed that he's working on Batgirl, or at least working on DC properties within the family. That this is a good way to maybe ease him into the blockbuster scene again after his poor experiences with Marvel on Age of Ultron, which exhausted him. He had to fight for creative control over the film. So this is maybe a good way to ease him back into the director's chair. And if you're going to have somebody do a film like Justice League, you get someone like Joss Whedon, who has experience doing comic book films and comic book ensemble films at that.
Yeah, he's been doing ensemble stuff since, the beginning.
Yeah, so this is, obviously, it's not a card that you want to ever play, but this is, Warner Brothers have handled this the best way you can in a scenario like this, in my opinion. And I think that Joss Whedon, they've confirmed that they're not adding new characters, they're not changing the narrative, and and that Joss Whedon will be going by Zack Snyder's style and his story and everything. So it's not going to fundamentally change the film. It's just an asterisk that will probably have to be added on during the film's credits. Mm-hmm. I think in the end, that's all it's really going to boil down to.
So do you think maybe it'll go through the entire credits of the movie, and then we'll say, is this second unit technically, or is this more or is it going to be directed by Zack Snyder with Joss Whedon? You know
I think it will say directed by Zack Snyder, additional photography by Joss Whedon. Words to that effect. They probably won't share the same screen in terms of credits, or the names on the credits, but he'll get a mention undoubtedly.
Yeah, I'm just wondering where they're going to put him. They, in the same way that Michael Arden still got credit for Force Awakens, even though his original script was pretty much scrapped. The only thing that was really kept was the whole Trash Planet thing.
Yeah, that was probably a contractual thing. Some writers might have it in their contract saying, even if you change everything I've written, I still want something in the credit. It depends on how hard your agent or agency fights for you. But I'm sure that Joss Whedon will get some credit, as he deserves to, if he's directing the reshoots and if he's directing the cast for a substantial amount of time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this is a terrible situation, and I think Warner Brothers, Joss Whedon, and everyone involved have played this very well,
Yes,
relatively
I'm
speaking.
very excited for the scene where Batgirl makes her cameo and she sleeps with Batman. I really can't wait.
Exactly.
I can't wait for that scene to happen, you know.
And speaking of credits, it will say inspired by the remake of The Killing Joke.
Like, instead of, like, you know, like we'll walk in thinking we're getting Justice League and we'll get a Batgirl movie for the first hour, and it'll be fantastic.
But
I'm excited.
You hear so many stories about it. I don't want to try and do a Marvel DC thing, especially on a topic like this, but you hear so many stories about the Marvel directors being a big unit, a big family. How Taika Waititi and who directed Ant-Man? Peyton Reed, yes.
Yeah.
So I blanked on the name. That's what Two Beers does to you. Don't drink, kids.
Or do, maybe.
Drink everything. At least once. Unless it's glowing. Don't know. It's wrong. But how they're a family and they help each other and they take notes from each other and they take advice from each other in the halls of Marvel Studios. But because we've mainly only really had Zack Snyder directing these DC films, also David Ayer, but this is a Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder enterprise for the most part. So that's probably going to change in a few years' time. But with this, it kind of shows that even in DC, even though they're only just really starting to get off the ground and they're only making their list, they're only really starting to establish their list of directors, that they are coming together in a scenario like this. It's a terrible scenario to have to come together in, but it is in these moments that you show your true colours, and I think that Warner Brothers have the best of intentions here.
Absolutely. If it were Sony, they'd just be like, you know...
Yep. Oh, I don't care, emoji movie's going ahead. they'll put a sad face emoji on the contract. Just to be dicks.
Oh, God, yeah. No.
Yeah. Hey, that was a trailer that came out recently. Moving on swiftly.
We've all seen that movie. It's amazing. You give them benefit of doubt. You're like, you know what, Lego movie sucks, but like Lego, oh God, like the.
Yeah,
right.
it is Sony making it. I have my doubts, but actually, this wasn't on the topic list, or it wasn't what we talked about. But have you seen the trailer for Logan Lucky, or is it Lucky Logan?
Yes.
How good does that look? Logan Lucky?
I don't know if I say it looks good, but
I think it looks awesome.
It looks damn fun. That's what I will say. I'm not impressed by any of the... Because Soderbergh is very hit or miss for me. Like, I love Contagion. I think Ocean's 11 is pretty good, but he's done a lot of other stuff that I can't get behind. But I do think that... what I will say is Channing Tatum has continued to impress me. I recently rewatched The Hateful Eight, and he, in my opinion, is the best part of that movie now. When he shows up, like, the entire chemistry of the screen changes.
Yeah.
It's French. Anyways,
because Logan Lucky's made, like we were talking about A24 earlier. This is by Bleecker Street, who have also been a great up and coming film studio. They did Beast of No Nation, Trumbo, Eye in the Sky, Denial, which is fantastic. They Captain Fantastic as well. Patterson. This is another really great up and coming company that I really think we should be keeping our eyes on. And Logan Lucky could be their first true mainstream breakout hit, especially with this cast.
I don't know if Daniel Craig knows he's being filmed. I'll be honest with you. I feel like they just found him in his hotel room after like Spectre like premiered and everyone hated it, and he's just like, you know what, coke time, and they have him going to the camera.
It's a secret. His hair's not actually dyed; it's just covered in cocaine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I am incarcerated.
You know, I'm not looking forward to Seth MacFarlane's British accent, but that's okay.
Another trailer as well. Murder on the Orient Express.
Yes, let's talk about that trailer. Okay, so I'd appear to be on... Wait, you want to go first, Trilbee?
Oh, no, you go. I started the Logan Lucky one.
I feel like I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum with everybody else on this, but I am so freaking excited for this movie. The cast excites me. I love Kenneth Branagh as a filmmaker, and I think like it just looks like to have that quirkiness and that old kind of. They have the mustaches. Everything about it just looks like it's going to be such an entertaining watch. Wasn't Fincher originally going to do this and he dropped out of it? I remember reading that somewhere.
Well, because Murder on the Orient Express is such a beloved novel. Even if you've not read any Agatha Christie novel or heard of her work, you would at least know Murder on the Orient Express. So it wouldn't surprise me if this project's been circulating for decades.
Yeah.
But the only issue I have with the trailer is the music. But
really?
everything else, I'm really looking forward to this film.
Yeah, I think that I like pretty much everything about the trailer. Everything about it just kind of like it just felt refreshing for it being a remake. I feel like they clearly, there was a lot of heart put into the movie, and I think Johnny Depp doesn't have on a lot of makeup, and that excites me because because Johnny Depp, for all his issues and all his worries, not enough people saw Black Mass, and he was exceptional in Black Mass. He was. And so it's like he still clearly has the talent, and he clearly still has the ability to give a fantastic performance. And I think he's not the main character. The main character is Kenneth Branagh, and the rest I believe are supporting. Yeah.
Well, Johnny Depp's character is the one who dies. So
is it really?
He'll be gone in the first 10-15 minutes.
Darn. Oh.
I'm sorry if I spoiled that. I thought the trailer made that apparent.
Did he? No.
Well, because he's smiling at the camera, and then it cuts to it smash cuts to the train stopping. Murder. I thought that was, but yeah, he is the one who his death sets off into motion the events of the book and of the film.
Well, then maybe hopefully they'll let him do shit up for a few minutes. I've never read Murder on the Orient Express. I don't know if that's where the Butler did it. Cliche came from, but I've never read the book. I've never seen the original movie, so I don't know a lot about it.
Yeah, so I've not read the book either, and I don't want this spoiled for me because I think I know who did it.
I think I know who did it too. Who do you think did it, Trilbee?
I don't want to say in case I'm actually right and I spoil it for the listeners. But
how about this? I'll type it in the chat. I'll type what I think in the chat, and if you think you type what you think in the chat.
Okay.
And if we think of the same person, this is going to be great. So I'm typing right now.
Okay, so I'm typing. I've sent it.
You've sent it?
This is wonderful radio for people, by the way.
Oh, you know what? That's probably right, but because I like modern day celebrity work, I'm going to put that one. That's who I think did it. But absolutely.
But this is the film that Josh Gad, Judi Dench, and Daisy Ridley were doing their viral Star Wars TV videos for.
I was wondering what they were all doing together. Like, what are they?
Yeah, it was Murder on the Orient Express. But I'm really looking forward to this because random story is my mother-in-law to be, my fiance's mum, is a huge Agatha Christie fan, but she hardly ever goes to the movies. Because she doesn't go out to see films at the cinema. She's so looking forward to this.
Yeah,
like this is a film that gives it appeals to those who love their crime stories or their whodunits, their mysteries. And this cast: Kenneth Branagh, Penelope Cruz, Willem Dafoe, Judi Dench, Johnny Depp, Josh Gad, Derek Jacobi, Leslie Odom Jr., Michelle Pfeiffer, Daisy Ridley, Olivia Colman, Lucy Boynton, who we knew from Sing Street. This is a all-star terrific cast and directed by Kenneth Branagh. Love it.
Yeah, what you just put in the chat, I immediately flash back to the movie Clue, and I won't say much more than that. But like,
do you think that this might have alternative endings?
No, I just mean I don't want to give away what you put in the chat, but this reminded me of something that does happen in Clue, and I just think that I don't know Clue. I got like Clue vibes from this, and I don't know maybe if that's what they were going for. I don't know. The movie seems to have it's going to have a bit of a lighter tone to it. It just looks like it's going to be really fun.
Well, Hercule Poirot is just such an over the top character,
yes,
when he's portrayed in TV or in the books. So you kind of have to have that knowing wink to the audience. Yes. I'm probably the greatest detective in the world. I
love that. I'm probably the greatest detective.
Well, there's no internet. He can't look it up.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I'm really excited for that. And no joke, my next project after Equation was going to be something similar to this. I'm not sure I'm doing that anymore because I didn't realize this was coming out. So
you make the project. Just wait a couple of years for this to die down. Who knows? Maybe this movie is terrible and gets bad reviews. Then's your time to strike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's gonna be like maybe 7 minutes long. So it's it's not gonna be this long, spiraling 2-hour mystery. No,
possibly.
God, no. Especially since my half-hour film has taken 7 months to complete. Good lord. I need sleep. Okay.
Sleep is for the dead.
Oh god, I feel like Joss Whedon on Age of Ultron. I think I broke my ankle.
Yeah, just limping on the film set.
Yeah. Speaking of death and tragedy, Roger Moore passed away recently. And,
the first Bond.
Yeah.
The first Bond to die, I mean.
He's the first Bond to go. Damn, that sucks. Really?
He was the oldest.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, he was what, 45 when he started?
Around that. He's only a year older than Sean Connery, who is still alive. He has recently been spotted at like a film festival somewhere. I think if you go on the Movie Mance's Twitter.
Did he look better than that picture circulating for about a year or two, where he's just sitting there in like a kilt or whatever, and his hair is all floofed out.
He looks fine. He just seems a bit skinny, but that's about it.
All right, well, that's good for Sean Connery.
But yeah, Roger Moore. It's either him or Sean Connery who are the definitive Bonds. But like Sean Connery was like the badass, and Roger Moore was the suave, like the lady killer.
Yeah.
So he was the type of guy. Even though he's only really known for James Bond, like he's got a very strong career, but it's Bond that he's really known for. But he really embraced that legacy. He was always talking about Bond. He was always eager to like go. You'd often see him at like Bond conventions, if that's what you'd call them.
Yeah.
But yeah, he really embraced his legacy as James Bond, and I think that's a really great thing to do.
I think he has more influence in terms of people's Bond experience than they might realize. Like the Brosnan films very much try to find that balance of the Connery, badass, if you will, but it still really tried to feel like a Roger Moore film most of the time. With the extravagant villains and the plots and fun fact. I'm not sure if I've told this story in the podcast before, but my first Bond movie I ever saw in theaters was Skyfall, and because Skyfall was coming out, I was 12, I think. Skyfall was coming out. I had family come down from New Orleans in Louisiana, here in the States, and there was a Bond marathon happening. It was either like AMC or Turner Clocks, maybe something like some channel like that. They're having a James Bond marathon, and my uncle said, "Ooh, Live and Let Die's on TV." I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, "You ain't never seen Live and Let Die?" Very classic. Old style, old black man wisdom. You gotta watch Roger Moore with all the alligators and the crocodiles. And so we sat down and watched Live and Let Die, and I remember just being like blown away by everything from like the music to that stunt with the crocodiles to the guy blowing up like a balloon. I love that movie so much. It has a special place in my heart. So
yeah, that was his first film. I think that was his first Bond film. Then Man with Golden Gun. I forget the order of them, but
I can name them off if you want. I mean. It was Golden Gun. It was
Octopussy?
No, it was Spy. It was Golden Gun, Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, then For Your Eyes Only, then Octopussy, and then A View to a Kill. I can name all the Bond films in order, but I can't pass algebra, so there's that.
I think we're on the topic of Bond. One thing that came up while we were on our hiatus is that I've been saying for years that the Bond franchise is going to be moving from Sony and that they're going to auction the rights to the franchise, but there's been nothing reported on it, so I even started to doubt myself until about a month ago, and they're finally talking about the auction, and there's a bit of a bidding war happening for the franchise. Let me just get the list up. MGM and Eon, they control the rights to the film. Okay, so Warner Brothers, Universal Pictures, 20th Century Fox, Sony and Annapurna bidding for the rights to the James Bond franchise. So if Annapurna get it, it's going to be Dutch angles, it's going to be black and white, it's going to be art house as hell, really but interesting.
The gun barrel's going to be in reverse. You're going to see blood go up the screen.
Yeah.
So wait, so Paramount's not in there?
I didn't see that. I've clicked off the page because I had to Google Annapurna pictures because I'm such a knowledgeable professional person.
Annapurna, they've done like artsy movies.
No, Paramount isn't there.
Damn.
Okay, so Annapurna, they did Her, Foxcatcher, Joy, Sausage Party. That's eclectic. Zero Dark 30.
Yeah.
Lawless.
I just think that I really don't want it to stay in Sony's hands because Sony clearly doesn't they don't understand the concept of learning a lesson, which they don't understand why people are like, oh, unless Spider-Man like crushes, Sony doesn't seem to be figuring out that people don't like what they're doing. Fox is in an interesting spot right now because I would love to see them because right now they've got Kingsman.
If they have Kingsman and Bond. They've got to have crossovers.
Well, I wanted Paramount so I can get a Mission Impossible Bond crossover. That'd be so great. I could just picture that, man.
I see Warner Brothers doing a good job with it.
Yeah, I could see Warner Brothers doing something with it. They need something else in case this whole DC thing finally collapses. Though Wonder Woman apparently is good, so I don't know.
More on that later.
Yeah,
because I saw it. I saw it today.
Yeah, that comes later. Yeah, okay.
Nice. Now is not the time for fear.
That was yesterday, but then I saw Wonder Woman.
It was great.
We may be all right. Yes.
Did you like it? Of course.
Of course. I found it kind of dull. For you.
No one cared who I was until I saw Wonder Woman.
You merely adopted the tomato meter.
If you watch Suicide Squad, would you die? It would be extremely painful. And that is it. Painful for everyone.
Oh.
Even the dog's getting in it.
Yeah, you can hear my dog. Shut up! You can hear my dog. Yeah.
Any other news?
I ought to check who that is. Yeah, we're gonna jump into Wonder Woman.
This week, each one of you has a homework assignment.
Your homework is to listen to some real music, get inspired.
Is this your homework, Larry?
Down with homework?
Alright guys, this is the homework question mark portion of the show. In which case, we talk about the movies we were either assigned to see or just saw on our own. Fate of the Furious was pretty fun.
Yeah, I have yet to see it.
It's not the best Fast and Furious movie, but it's definitely better than the last two. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably the second best behind 5.
Yeah.
People are screaming outside. And I
you have some controversial opinions about Fast and Furious.
If that's what you hear. If that's what you hear, audience.
No, the 7th one is the best one, Trey.
They have the Paul Walker tribute and everything. No, I just... it gets better as it goes along. The Rock is pretty great in it. Jason Statham and The Rock have great chemistry. Mm-hmm. Overall, it's just a nice, fun time with the movies. It's not great. I wouldn't even say it's that good, but I did enjoy myself watching it.
How's Charlize Theron and Judi Dench?
Charlize Theron was dull and boring. Every time she was on screen, I was like, I can't do this. Because she had no personality whatsoever.
Not Judi Dench, Helen Mirren.
I was going to correct it. Helen Mirren was a real fun time.
Hooray.
She never shot any guns, but it was entertaining.
Next time she gets a minigun. That's got to be
I'm telling you, man, they're setting it up to do a trilogy. You know what I'm saying? They're setting it up.
I've yet to see it, but I'll probably catch it when it comes out on Blu-ray because it's a fun franchise. Mm-hmm. I just can't muster the energy to, on top of everything else, to just rush out and see it.
Okay, I'm listening.
So I'm listening to your background noise.
Oh yeah, we'll edit that in post as much as we can. My
Fix it in post.
Family. Yeah, my screaming family. That's what happens. You live in a black household with very thin walls.
Hey, you said it, not me.
Alright, Trilbee, what did you see? Let's talk about what you saw.
Let's talk Alien Covenant.
Alright.
Now, are you, I was going to ask if you're okay with spoilers, but there's really not much to spoil here.
I'm okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I won't go right into the nitty gritty. I won't. But if you've seen the trailers, you'll think that this is a return to form for, say, Alien or Aliens, where it's predominantly about fighting off aliens in outer space on a spaceship or on a hostile planet and all of this stuff. That's the first 10 minutes and the last 20 minutes, which leaves about 90 minutes of other material. And that other material is basically a continuation of Prometheus. With Alien Covenant, it feels like they've really falsely marketed this film.
Okay.
Because what we've got is a continuation of Prometheus, and it tries to fix some of the plot holes and some of the issues many people had with Prometheus, but in doing so, it ends up creating more lapses in logic, a lot more plot holes, and I really hope Alien Covenant gets a sequel, because I just want to continue seeing how deep a hole they dig this franchise. Just how much more can they contradict each other? How much more can they just mess up the continuity of this series? I wasn't a fan.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
What? What's up? What?
Nothing. No, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, cause I saw this with my friend was visiting, and he's a big fan of Prometheus. He really enjoys Prometheus. I think Prometheus is pretty average, but we both left Alien Covenant incredibly underwhelmed and disappointed. if you're looking for scares in the vein of Alien, you're not. This isn't a scary film. It's not scary. There's no tension. There's no atmosphere. There's nothing here in terms of the horror aesthetic that you're hoping to get from its roots. And in terms of it being like Aliens, like the characters in Aliens they're not the most intelligent because they're meant to be sort of dude bros, gun bros. We're cocky and we're soldiers. We're Marines. We're not meant to be that intelligent. The action, there's one pretty cool set piece involving a crane on top of a spaceship, which you've seen in the trailers. It's the scene where the alien is bashing its head into the windshield of a spaceship. That's a pretty cool set piece. But Alien Covenant is a film where it's trying to deal with big themes, big ideas about who we are, what does it mean to be human, what about artificial intelligence and extraterrestrial life and all this stuff. But it can't cash the check because the characters are it's so brain-dead stupid. The logic is stupid. The characters are abysmally dumb. The idea that these are colonists and that they're couples, they're pairs, it doesn't follow through with those ideas because you don't know who is dating who. So when you get someone go, "Oh, she's dead. She was my wife," it's like, "Oh, she was? Oh, okay. You two haven't had a single scene together."
So the prologue isn't in the movie?
The prologue's not in the movie. The other prologue concerning Fassbender and Rapace, there's one or two shots that are in the movie.
So is James Franco in it?
He immediately dies. The only screen time we see of him properly is footage of him filming himself with a selfie stick doing rock climbing and sending a message to his wife, who is played by Catherine Waterston, who is basically the new version of Ripley.
Okay, so walk me through this. So James Franco, is he on the ship or is he not on the ship?
He's the captain of the ship, and
okay.
What happens is that the movie opens, the spaceship Covenant is on its way to this new planet, and there's some sort of weird solar storm. There's some incident that damages the ships and awakens some of the emergency crew. And in the rush to get everybody out of the pods, there's a malfunction with James Franco's pod, and he burns alive inside the pod. Which means that Billy Crudup's character is now in command because he was the second in command, with Catherine Waterston being the third in command, and that's how the movie opens. But if you'd had the prologue and then you'd had that incident, you'd actually care about these characters. The sole bright spot here is Danny McBride, who is legitimately good. He's actually a really good dramatic presence.
Most comedians will tend to be, you know.
Yeah. He's actually a really likable character. He's good. I liked him. I enjoyed him. Michael Fassbender is giving a really good, multi-layered, awesome performance, but it's not in service of anything interesting because it feels like his interesting character development happens off screen. There's some interesting scenes where David and Walter, who is the new replicants, they're interacting with each other, and they're directed well, they're acted really well, and I enjoyed watching them, but it's not in service of anything interesting. And the alien stuff is an afterthought. It feels like, oh, I just want to do Prometheus 2, but we need that marketability, we need something on the poster, let's get some aliens in there. And it feels like the aliens are much less interesting now that Alien Covenant exists, because you have the origin, you find out the creation of the first xenomorph, how that happens. It's just not interesting. And you have the stuff, you've seen it in the trailer where they're walking on the planets. They're not wearing spacesuits. Like, this isn't the planet that they land on isn't the planet they were originally going to as colonists.
Do they land on LV-426?
No, they don't.
No. How do we get to LV-426?
Yeah.
Do we see LV-426 in this movie?
No, and the creation of the aliens contradicts everything we know about them before because there is no queen.
Is Shaw dead?
Sorry?
Is Shaw dead, or is she
if you want spoilers, Shaw was killed by David because he experimented on her to create the xenomorphs. But there's no queen. So where are these eggs coming from? And the biggest question I have,
the xenomorphs.
Basically, yeah, her entrails made they call it the neomorph, which is this weird white alien knockoff thing, basically proto-alien. And then, but they are separate to the xenomorphs with the facehuggers and everything. The most disappointing thing I found about Alien Covenant, though, is that the CGI with the spaceships and the backgrounds and the space stuff, that's really cool and polished and great. The CGI on the alien is pants. the CGI you know that shot in, is it Alien 3 where there's that weird dog alien thing walking across? It's that level.
It looks like a puppet on green screen.
It does, but it looks really bad, and that's weird because they built a full alien suit and had it interact with people on set, and it's chasing people, and there's B-roll footage of this happening. None of that's in the film. It's a CGI alien chasing them.
Oh, they Jurassic Worlded it, huh?
Yeah, they
shot practically, and they covered it on CG.
I think it's more like the Thing remake, where they where they go to all this effort making this practical alien suit, and it's not on screen.
Yeah,
which I think is massively disappointing. And the CGI on the alien, it's not great. It just feels like Ridley Scott needs to move on to better things. Like he's done a great job with The Martian. I want to see him maybe direct more scripts that aren't his baby. Because I think
The Martian clearly wasn't.
No, it
clearly wasn't his. You know, I think at this point that's if what you're telling me is true, and I haven't seen the film, but what I will say is, The Martian clearly was not his. It was clearly Drew Goddard's, and then Drew Goddard left to do something that ended up being canceled, and so Drew Goddard doesn't do... What is he doing next? Do we know?
Drew Goddard? I can look it up. He was attached to do some Sinister Six stuff.
That dropped out a long time ago, like the Aunt May solo film.
The Martian was the last thing. According to Wikipedia, Untitled Deadpool sequel.
He's not. Was he writing or directing? Isn't the John Wick guy doing the chat? Though?
Oh no, he's a co-writer on the Deadpool sequel.
Well, at least he's writing something.
Yeah. He left The Martian to do the Sony Spider-Man films, and that wound up great for everyone. But for Alien Covenant, I feel like Ridley Scott is George Lucasing his own franchise. Where with what George Lucas did with the prequels is to make things less interesting and to really just sort of, in a sense, sort of taint the legacy of what came before. And at this point, I'm interested in what Neil Blomkamp was going to do for Alien 5, because Alien Covenant is it's a step down, or even from the low expectations of Prometheus. And if you're going in there wanting an alien film, I think you're going to leave disappointed. And if you are going in for a Prometheus sequel, like my friend was, you're still going to be disappointed. The good reviews have kind of baffled me a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know,
so I suppose my question here is, how does the movie end?
So it's taking a swig of my drink because I need it for Alien Covenant.
take a shot for every question.
So spoiler warning for the end of Alien Covenant, but it's been out for a few weeks, and I think people who have wanted to see it will have seen it already. So they go to this uncharted planet because the colonists are heading towards this ideal homeworld, and what happens is that they get a distress signal from a woman singing West Virginia, like, so country roads take me home to the place I belong. They get that signal, so they decide to follow it, even though it is obviously a trap. So they go onto this they go onto this planet, this uncharted planet that they don't know anything about. So they go out without wearing spacesuits, because that's the smart thing to do. Many of them get infected by these these spores. They step on these plants, and then the spores go into their ears, and then some sort of proto-alien comes out of them, and then that encounter leads them stranded on the planet, and David from Prometheus comes to rescue them. The biggest question I have in Alien Covenant is that when David arrives, he is wearing a custom-fitted hoodie. Where did he get this hoodie from? Because it popped out when Shaw had the alien baby.
Yeah, it was just, a hoodie was there too.
But the thing is that they are on the original planet where the engineers came from, and the twist. I don't know why they presented it as a twist, because it was obvious, so it's not really a twist. David arrives on this planet and releases the black goo and kills every engineer on the planet. So even though the end of Prometheus was him and Shaw were like, okay, we need to find out why they created us. We need some answers. We need to do this. They arrive on the planet, and before they've even left the ship and spoken to anyone, they kill everyone. So what's the point? Why?
So that kills the whole engineer thing.
That kills all of the engineers. And what happens is that David is alone on this planet, and it kind of shows that if artificial intelligence with a god complex is on a planet on its own for a long time, it's going to experiment on shit. So it experiments on Shaw, experiments on the black goo, and creates the eggs Billy Crudup, despite knowing everything that David has done, approaches the egg, and David's like, "Oh, you can trust me. Look over the egg." And Billy Crudup's like, "You seem like a rational, safe."
Hold on,
robot.
David tells him. This is incredible. You remember the episode there's an episode of Smodcast where Kevin Smith details the events of Dark Knight Rises to Scott Mosier, and it's a really funny episode. Yeah, this is what it reminds me of right now. Hold on. So David tells Billy Crudup. David tells Dr.
Yeah, look over the egg. Look over the egg. And
is
then
that exactly what he says? He's like, oh, just take a look.
No, yeah, it's like, take a look, it's safe, or words to that effect. So Billy Crudup, because there's a previous encounter where an alien has killed one of the members of the Covenant, and Billy Crudup kills it, and David freaks the hell out because, like, I was communicating with it, even though he's trying to communicate with this life form that he's created, and Billy Crudup kills it. So he clearly is not someone to be trusted and is allying himself with these aliens he's creating. But he's like, "Oh, look over the egg, it'll be fine." Facehugger gets Billy Crudup, and then it creates an alien. They kill the alien, and then they try and leave on the Covenant. But oh no, there's another alien which got one of the other crew members, and then they kill the other alien. But what happened during the first encounter with the alien is that Walter and David had a fight. And then it's left out, and then it's like, oh, Walter won the fight. Walter won, and Walter goes on the ship, even though it's obvious that it's David. So once again, it's a twist that doesn't work. And then when they defeat the alien, and Danny McBride and Catherine Waterston are the only survivors, and just as they're about to go into cryosleep, they find out that Walter is David, and they go into cryosleep they go into cryosleep against their will. And then David is left alone on this colonist ship, and he regurgitates some alien eggs, leaves them in storage, and then that's the end of the film. Presumably he's going to experiment on the frozen humans who are on the Covenant ship with the aliens. That's the end of the film.
He regurgitates alien eggs.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're too small eggs. They're no bigger than, let's say, an apple. They're no bigger than an apple.
Bigger than a boat truck. Oh, I got you. No, I understand.
Yeah. He regurgitates like 2 apple-sized eggs and puts them, because you've got like 1,000 or 2,000 frozen people on the Covenant ship, and there's also like thousands of embryos that are frozen, and he puts the eggs where the embryos are.
Okay.
And then that's the end of the film.
So is that Ridley Scott's way of justifying doing an alien movie, quote unquote, without the government or the world knowing that aliens exist?
Yes, because it's very self-contained in that regard, but there's just a couple of stupid things that I just don't know how they wound up in a finished film. Like they're trying to the people who are on the planet are trying to communicate with the crew who are still on the Covenant, they're just in the atmosphere, and they're like, oh, there's a terrible rainstorm, we can't communicate with them, and they say to David, how long do the storms last? And he says hours, weeks, months, and then they're waiting for the storm to clear so they can send this signal to the ship. But then on the other side of the building, it's not a huge building. They're on the other side of the building looking over a balcony. It's not raining. It's clear. It's a clear sky, but on the other side of the building, it is pouring it down.
Oh, Ridley.
Like, this is... How do you script this? Like, this isn't stuff you catch in the edit. This is stuff you catch in the... Someone has to hire those rain machines. Someone has to hire those cocking rain machines.
I'll tell you, I will tell you this, as someone who's in the process of making a movie, you've got to have those people there that are just like, wait a minute, why would it not be raining here if it's raining over there? Because as a director, you don't think about those things sometimes.
But Ridley Scott has been directing for 50 years.
I was about to say, I was like, I'm like, maybe when you're making your first big budget film, but Ridley Scott's been making movies since the 60s. I feel like you should understand the concept of making it rain on both sides of a building.
Well, it's like, you showed me a clip from Equation, and I pointed out that you broke the 180 rule in terms of the placement of the camera.
It was as simple as flipping the footage in post. It was really that simple.
But it's one of those things where if you're doing that, you can watch and commentate on films for, like as much as you like. But when you're actually making something, the basics go out the window the very first time you do it, because this is a new process. It's completely understandable when you start off. But when you're a 40, 50-year veteran like Ridley Scott, this is basic shit.
Yeah, you gotta... I'm saying... And like you said there's a lot of CG in the film. How about when you're watching the movie in post and you're in the editing room, it's like, oh, let's just CG in some rain right there. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Just CG in some rain. If you know, it's like, oh, whoops, we forgot to put rain there. Okay, well then let's darken the sky and CG in some rain. okay.
It's a frustrating film. I don't hate it. Like I can't get too worked up and really angry about it. But I give it 3 out of 10. Wow. I think there's some for context, like a Prometheus of 5, a rating that I do stand by.
Okay.
But yeah, not a fan.
Wow. Okay. So that was Alien Covenant. I've seen 2.5 minutes of it. Trilbee saw the whole thing. Which is a shame. I was really looking forward to it. Like, all those trailers have got me really excited.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it too.
And then the reviews started coming out, and I was like, I don't know, though. Should I? Where did David get this hoodie from? He found this hoodie on a planet full of, like, 9-foot-tall engineers, but it's a custom-made, perfectly fitting hoodie. He stuck a regular engineer hoodie inside an engineer body, and using the black goo, or he stuck it in the black goo and it shrunk to David's size.
Yeah, he killed the fabric with the black goo.
Yeah, it mutated into a regular hoodie.
I just think he found it on the set of Assassin's Creed and thought, I like this look. I like this hoodie look.
Yeah, it is not Michael Fassbender's time, isn't it?
But he's good in the film.
Yeah, well, he's great in everything he does.
He gets a really dodgy line there. There's a scene where he's teaching Walter how to be creative. So
is this the blow thing? I've heard.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
yes.
He's blowing on a recorder or on a pipe, and Walter only has one hand because he lost one of his arms in an encounter with an alien because acid for blood, it burnt off his hand. Mm-hmm. And so he can only hold it, and David grabs the pipe and says, "I'll do the fingering," and there's clearly a lot of gay sexual tension between the two, and it's really unintentionally funny.
Someone tweeted out back when the movie was first released, and they said, "I didn't like it, but I'll say this." I don't know. It was either you and John Campia, one of you two. That said Michael Fassbender for the next Hannibal Lecter.
I didn't hear that. No, I didn't say that. Sorry.
So I mean, I don't know. Apparently he's that good. So I don't know. I might just go and watch it for him because I really like Michael Fassbender. So I might just see it for him. Maybe catch it as a rental or something. But if you've got anything emotionally invested in Alien, I probably wouldn't want to put you through the heartache. I'll chappy it. I'll when we're done recording here, I'll chappy it. Watch a Russian guy walk in front of the screen and the occasional chuckle.
Fair enough then.
Yeah, I might do the same for our next thing here, which is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Another movie I have not seen.
See, I don't really want to spoil it for you because there are some pretty big reveals in it, and I think this is a fun film that has not really been spoiled much in the trailers, so I don't want to spoil it.
I won't ask for spoilers. Or I only want one thing spoiled for me because I can't dodge the internet anymore. So I don't want this ruined by reading something online. Spoilers for what I'm about to ask. What's the post-credit scene?
There are 5.
5? That's ingenious. That's awesome.
I did a write-up on geekfeed.com explaining all of them because some of them are obscure as hell.
Were they just like random characters from the comic books?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's really sick. I like that. There's 5.
Mm-hmm. There's 5 of them. Although I the way that they're sprinkled throughout, I think is a little bit jarring, but it's still, there's some fun stuff there and some.
So I'd imagine it's like we fade to black, title card of the movie, and then we get our first post-credit scene, and then.
No, actually, the credits are really, really fun and visually interesting and vibrant, and there's a song by David Hasselhoff in there.
Nice.
And they're fun credits to watch.
Yeah. Okay.
So and then like every minute and a half, every 2 minutes, there's a new credit scene.
I wonder if that's the. I feel like that's James Gunn having fun, but
I think it is.
I don't imagine. Are any of them important, or are they all Howard the Duck?
There's 2 continuations of the story, basically.
Okay.
2 teasers for the future.
Fantastic.
And one of them, which is basically an answer to a very long-standing Marvel Cinematic Universe question.
Oh my god. Okay, alright, I'll check it out then. So what's the movie itself?
I won't spoil it because the marketing campaign has been very effective at not spoiling the plot of the film. It's mostly been advertising characters and tone and stuff. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I think, is It's a good it's a pretty good film. I'm not going to rate it as high as the original Guardians or anywhere like, say, near Doctor Strange or Civil War or Iron Man or Iron Man 3, although you're not a fan of Iron Man 3 or
Iron Man 4 is
as you call
actual
it.
trash. Iron Man 4 is actual trash.
I love Iron Man 3.
It's just a piece of dog turd on the screen, essentially.
To put it bluntly.
It's a picture of a middle finger for all I care.
But, yeah,
every time I see it on a screen, I get a kick to the butt. I'm sorry. I hate it.
You kick the screen in the balls every time you see it on.
Yeah.
But as for if you are after just a fun, awesome, great time at the movies, then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 has got you covered. It's really fun, really enjoyable, some great memorable sequences. But where it kind of lets me down a bit is that I don't think James Gunn quite has a handle on the tone as he did in the original Guardians of the Galaxy. Because what you had in the original was that it was really fun, laid back, and really inventive and great, but there were still real stakes at play here. Like, there was still a threat, there was still the possibility that some of the characters could die. One of them does die temporarily. There are stakes here, and it's still serious, and that you are able to get in touch with the emotion of the characters. With Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, that level of tonal control is not quite present. And I think that the movie is kind of trying too hard for humour in some areas where it really should just be buckling down and getting a bit serious. There is, near the end of the film, there is a huge fight which is meant to be like really emotional for Peter Quill at least, and it's meant to be like sort of the apex of his emotional journey in the film. And one of the things he does during the fight is just blatant comic relief, and you think you should really be taking this situation very seriously. I don't quite know.
Tony Stark starts quipping after Pepper dies. You know what I mean?
He didn't quip. Having watched that sequence recently, he didn't quip.
He's not. He doesn't seem very broken. I mean, Pepper dies.
There's still a fight to be done.
He calls for his suit, and then the suit crashes. He's like, oh, whatever. Like in typical Tony Stark fashion, I'm like, no, I'm not sure that's how Tony Stark would react to that. I don't know.
I disagree.
You just watched your wife burn to death. I feel like you'd,
But this should be like a moment where Peter Quill grows up and he just continues reversing to the stuff in his childhood. You'll know it when you see it, basically. Yeah, I think the characters that really benefit in Volume 2 are, oddly enough, Yondu and Nebula.
I've heard that, yeah.
They are the ones who get the most development. They are the ones who are the most interesting in the film.
I've heard something about Mary Poppins.
Yep, yep, it's superb.
Only because someone commented that on my Instagram photo.
It's a great moment, and Michael Rooker is terrific as Yondu. He's awesome. Yeah. The character who suffers the most is Peter Quill because he's barely in the film.
Really?
He's present, but he should be. He's really not very prominent. Okay. It kind of feels like everyone else around him is getting moments to shine, but Peter Quill's sort of just hanging around, and I feel like they're really underutilizing Chris Pratt in this film. I
heard the exact opposite. Okay. I heard that this movie was all about Star-Lord, and that the other Guardians don't get to really get much to do.
Well, it's about Star-Lord in the fact that the plot revolves around him, but in terms of him growing as a cat, like once the film has ended, I'm just thinking, what have you learnt? What has your journey been? Like, it just feels like if you are marathoning the MCU films, you could skip Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in terms of...
I have heard that, yes.
I won't skip it because it's a really fun and great time and there's some really memorable, awesome moments. But I feel like if you were in a rush, or if you have an MCU marathon but for some reason you're in a rush, then maybe Iron Man 2, Thor: The Dark World, and this is one that you could skip.
Yeah, like if you're going to see this at the movies, this is the one you could nap through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
there's
if
always that
break.
Yeah, there's always that one you can be like, I'm gonna go get some lunch. Or something, yeah.
But that's not to say it's bad. It's really fun and enjoyable. I love the stuff with Rocket and Yondu, because basically what we have here is similar to The Empire Strikes Back, where the team splits up. You've got Star-Lord, Gamora, and Drax following Ego to his planet, and then you have you have Yondu, Rocket, and Groot, who have been kidnapped by the Ravagers, and they're going on their own journey. There's a lot of scenes where characters yell at each other saying, "This is the emotional journey I'm going through." And while it's engaging, it is like, when it's like the fourth or fifth time they're doing it, you're kind of thinking that there's probably a better way to get across this exposition. But it's still, the effects are amazing, the polish is there, it's really fun and laid back, and it's even though there are quite a few issues with it, I still would recommend seeing it and sitting through it and just having a real fun time grooving to the 80s soundtrack. And it's not quite Guardians of the Galaxy 1, but Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was such a lightning in a bottle, amazing feat of masterclass storytelling by James Gunn that this one probably could never have lived up to it, no matter how hard it tried. I will say that Kurt Russell's awesome. He's amazing as Ego, and there's some great directions that his character goes through. It's really interesting stuff, and the person who was revealed to be the villain towards the end, the big threat at the end, is probably going to go down as maybe the best Marvel villain since Ultron or since Loki. He's definitely up there on the list. So yeah, it's a fun time. I just think that there are there's quite a few structural issues, and I think the tone just wasn't quite as controlled as it was in the first one. But I still recommend it. Let's go for a 7 out of 10.
Alright, right on. I'll take that. Yeah, I feel like I might be watching a couple movies tonight. I guess I'll check out Guardians as well. I don't know. I've been so busy. You don't realize how little movies you get to watch when you're making your own, which sounds really pretentious. I probably shouldn't have said that.
No, but it's absolutely correct.
Yeah, like everyone's like, "Oh, did you see this?" I'm like, "No, I've been doing equation stuff. I haven't been able to see Guardians." Mm-hmm. Oh, another one's out. Oh no, I didn't see Alien.
Yeah.
What? Oh no, I haven't seen Wonder Woman yet. No, I wasn't able to go Thursday. I was shooting that Thursday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, So I get, now that summer started, I can finally get all my movie watching time in.
Yeah, I can relate. When you work in TV or film, unless you're seeing midnight screenings, you're not really going to be able to... Because cinemas aren't normally open unless it's doing midnight screenings by the time you wrap shooting that day. Yeah. It's not convenient.
No, it's really not. Okay, alright, right on. Well, then I think that leaves us with only one more movie left to talk about.
Wonder Woman!
Yeah, totally. Non-spoilers, obviously.
Yes,
so we saw
non-spoilers.
Wonder Woman. So, what'd you think?
Okay, for context... I'm a defender of Man of Steel, but I remember leaving the screening. I went to a midnight screening of Batman v Superman. Mm-hmm. I went to see Suicide Squad opening day. My fiance really liked Suicide Squad, but she said that she'd marry me, so she's clearly got very low taste. I remember leaving Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad just feeling really deflated, just feeling just kind of miserable at the whole experience, and just wondering how these big ambitious projects that are based on material that I love can just turn out so badly. When I left the screening of Wonder Woman this afternoon, I was elated and really, really just full of hope and optimism for the future of this franchise, because Wonder Woman is a legitimately great film. You've got a great year for superhero movies when Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is the worst of the bunch, or the weakest of the bunch. Like Lego Batman and Logan and Wonder Woman, this is a great year so far. And I think that regardless of if you take out of consideration the societal context that this is the first big blockbuster directed by a woman, Patty Jenkins, as well as the first notable big screen superhero adaptation led by a woman with Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman, even when you ignore all that, this is still a great film that can stand on its own. The film is bookended by future Diana, taking place after the events of Batman v Superman, but the rest of it is completely standalone, and it works in its favour. It absolutely works. And the original Wonder Woman origin story takes place in World War II, where Steve Trevor lands on the Amazonian islands and tells them about the great Nazi force that they have to fight, and Wonder Woman goes to join the fight. But they've changed it to World War I, and that sort of alteration to the source material and making it pay off thematically it's inspired in ways that the film reveals itself. Gal Gadot is actually really, really good in this lead. She's a great screen presence. She gets the humor right. She's got great chemistry with Chris Pine, who is also great. But the entire supporting cast is awesome. Robin Wright, Danny Houston, Eleanor Ania, Lucy Davis. They're all awesome. And I actually prefer this to Captain America: The First Avenger, because you can compare the two because it's
Heresy!
It takes place during a world war, and it's and you've got your main hero with a shield, and they have to fight Germans with a ragtag team. I prefer the Wonder Woman supporting cast to the first Avenger one, because while Captain America had his Howling Commandos, I couldn't tell you anything about their personality, but here it's all in greater service to depicting World War One and the struggles that come with that, and they don't compromise. It's a PG-13. But they still go to some very dark places in the World War One, and the whole morally grey nature of the conflict. I think that there are some issues, as you can probably expect, but it's mostly to do with, say, the villain at the end and how their plan doesn't make any sort of sense, and it's just a CGI-filled battle that was clearly filmed on a soundstage, and it doesn't really work. And there's also quite a lot of loose ends because at the end of the first act, Diana and Steve Trevor, they leave the Amazon island to go to London for World War One, and they never cut back to the Amazon island. I feel like that's something that really should have been done. But it still manages to stay standing because of its intelligence and its profound beating heart at the centre of its narrative, because this movie really has some heart to it. It's about mankind's lust for war, about the flaws inherent in people's hearts and overcoming that to ultimately do the right thing. And I think it's a film that there's a lot that's been made about the differences between Marvel and DC, and how Marvel heroes are meant to be the flawed and troubled heroes that you can relate to, whereas the DC heroes are the gods and the deities who we aspire to become and set an example for humanity. And with that in mind, Wonder Woman embodies DC's philosophy. It's an inspiring film, and I'm inspired to do good by watching it, if that makes sense. And there's a sequence where you've seen it in the trailer, where Wonder Woman steps onto no man's land, and that sequence is probably going to go down as one of the greatest and iconic superhero movie sequences of all time. It's a phenomenal set piece. It tops basically anything the DCEU has done before. And not to get too sentimental, but I can honestly imagine young girls watching this film and getting inspired in the same way that my generation did watching Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man back in 2002, or the generation before watching Christopher Reeve as Superman in 1978.
Yeah.
It's that type of. There's
going to be a lot of when they get back in, a lot of kids on the playground, little girls on the playground being like, "I'm gonna be Diana," and they're gonna be like walk around like kicking people. That's what I did. Except I was Spider-Man. You're right. I was Batman. I was always Christian Bale's Batman because I always talked like I was like Joker. And I started punching everybody. Yeah, I got into a lot of fights as a kid trying to be Batman. Oh yeah.
Well, like you were only young when the original Spider-Man came out, and so
the original Spider-Man is the first time I remember watching in the theater.
Yeah,
it's my first movie. I remember the parade sequence. That's all I remember from. Yeah,
so it's all about, if you watch your superhero movies to be inspired and to have hope in humanity, then Wonder Woman is definitely a film filled with optimism and heart. And I think that the action sequences are great. There's some dodgy green screen and some dodgy compositing, and I feel like they could have maybe thrown a bit more money at the film in terms of getting the CGI polished. But the fight choreography is inspired. The production design is great. It's just a really great superhero film. It's not perfect, and I can't quite talk about the flaws because that's deep in spoiler territory.
Okay.
But
I have heard things about the third act, and I'm like, what's that's all I've heard was that the third act has some problems. I don't really know what that means though. So
yeah, it really is. It's the third act, and then some of the reveals that make you kind of judge some of the actions of many characters beforehand. But I feel like it still manages to work in spite of those issues because it's just so well-natured. And now, it's just a really fun time.
My next question, without getting too deep into spoilers, is I'd imagine there's nothing after the credits.
I stayed through the credits with a couple of people, and there's once the film ends, it ends. There's no post-credit scene.
Great, so no Suicide Squad nonsense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And without spoiling anything, but is this the only film that we will get to see Chris Pratt in the near future?
Chris
Pine, yeah. In the near future. Is it that standalone, or do you feel there is a way they'll be able to,
I feel like the whole World War I supporting cast you'll never see again. Okay. Apart from maybe the Amazons, who seem to be ageless.
Okay. Alright. Well, because they've done big things before in the comics, and Steve Trevor, World War II, they've done things where it's like, oh, I'm Steve Trevor's grandson, and I look exactly the same.
Maybe they could go in that direction, but like for World War II, you can sort of imagine a very old Peggy Carter in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but it's World War One. Which is
100 years ago.
Yeah, that with the exception of the Amazons, or maybe I don't know, but there's some supernatural stuff slightly hinted with the villains, because they use like some sort of like toxin to make them more powerful. Who knows? Maybe that de-ages them. I don't know, but I doubt that we'll see any of the World War I supporting cast in any future films, and that's part of the point of the film. It's about, because it's bookended with segments set in the present day, or at least after Batman v Superman, and it's sort of, that's the point of the film, not seeing those characters again.
Okay, all right, right on. That's pretty good.
But so no post-credit scene. It is standalone despite the book ending. As long as you know what Wayne Enterprises is, you'll know what's happening.
Okay,
that's basic. It's refreshingly standalone.
Wonderful. What do you what'd you say you gave it?
I go for an 8. As of right now.
Go for an 8. Right on. So it's okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm excited, and I will probably get around to seeing it relatively soon when I have the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you've already got like there was the backlash to having women only screenings.
Oh, that's one of the questions.
Okay. Should we save that for questions, or?
You know what? I think that makes a great transition into listener questions. Trilbee, let's get into listener questions.
What?
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Alright guys, this is the listener question portion of the show, which we answer your listener questions.
I thought I was drunk.
On the Facebook page. We'll be finding this first question here from I need to find who asks it. Oh boy. Tom Cork. You've asked like 6 questions, and I'm gonna use this one. This is gonna be the one we're gonna answer. Tom Cork asks on Facebook, women's only screening of Wonder Woman. Good or bad? And my response to that will be, I don't know. Can I get my men-only screenings for Avengers Infinity War? Can I get my men-only screenings of like Baywatch or something like that? I understand the thought process of having a women-only screening to a movie like Wonder Woman. It seems like something that was attempted to be a good idea. Like they were clearly not coming from a malicious place, but the execution of it seems off. And I'm not sure if I'm getting all the full information. Maybe you know more than I do, Trilbee. It just seems odd for someone to do that. You know what I'm saying?
I think if you don't have an issue with, say, ladies' nights at bars or nightclubs or whatever, then there's nothing wrong with this. Like, for example, this isn't, say, these aren't women who are going to be watching the film like a week before everybody else does. This isn't this is going to be 2 screenings, which are also going to be staffed by women as well, of just people watching a film a couple of days after the film's already come out. It's like this. Yeah. This does not affect you. This doesn't hurt anyone.
I'm not. All right, steady on, Trilbee. I can feel your anger bubbling.
But as the resident feminist of the podcast, I am appalled at this.
I've got to pick up Bandit's slack since he's not on the podcast right now. I gotta pick up his slack.
As someone who received many paychecks for reviewing Ghostbusters positively, I'm appalled.
Here's what I have no issue with. I just don't. I feel like it reminds me a lot of the Pepsi commercial, you know? I'm like, I feel like you had good intentions. I don't know if that's probably the best way to handle it. I don't know, maybe give like a discount to women or something. I don't know. I get why they're doing it. It's just something about it irks me. I don't know why. It just seems like it seems like almost like a double standard, because you're trying to talk about Wonder Woman as a symbol of women empowerment, and empowerment's all about equality and being equal to the man, and then be like, but men can't be in here. So that just seems odd to me. It seems like a minor. What's the word? Not hypocritic. contradictive. There it is.
I feel like if no one else is, if you have personally, as a man, been banned from seeing Wonder Woman and you will never be able to watch it in theatres, then yeah, we've got an issue here. But this is just some screenings for fun in one venue. They're doing it twice because the first one sold out. Like maybe if
I'm not saying it's a Greek tragedy, Trilbee. I'm just
some people are treating it like a Greek tragedy.
I've got a fundamental issue with it, and I'm just saying why it irks me just a tad. I'm not protesting about it.
No, but like I said, if you've not got an issue with ladies' nights, then if you've not got an issue with ladies' nights, but you've got an issue with women-only Wonder Woman screenings at one venue twice, then it just shows that you're not trying to champion equality. You just want an opponent to fight. You just want something to be outraged at, which is a bit hypocritical considering people are like, oh, feminists just want to be angry at stuff for no reason.
I need conflict, Trilbee.
Exactly. But when you get people saying, or like critics were paid to give Ghostbusters good reviews, they're only praising Wonder Woman because of the feminist agenda. So even Alex Jones would be saying, "Well, we could cut the conspiracy theories." Like, it just, with all this stuff happening in the world right now, like Wonder Woman has genuinely been banned in Lebanon because Gal Gadot is an Israeli actress. But no one's getting angry about that. Like I said, you're not actually championing equality or hypocritical female-only screenings or whatever. You just want someone to be angry at. Go outside. Interact with human beings. Make a movie.
I love that. Go for a walk. You see that thing outside, the sun? Yeah, go yell at that. See how far that gets you.
Yeah, if you go to the post office, say hi to the person serving you. Social interaction.
And if it happens to be a woman, oh well.
No, I get where you're coming from in principle, Trey, in terms of like why it irks you. But I just think out of everything happening, it's nothing to get worked up about.
See, I agree with you. I agree with you on that point, though. It is not something the world needs to end over. I think it's... Yeah, okay. Do you have another question on the listener questions?
Okay, yeah, this one is something I've actually pondered myself, from Ben Berkowitz. After King Arthur's poor critical and box office, will Guy Ritchie still direct Disney's Aladdin? If not, who do you see directing it? I think this is an interesting question, because King Arthur, Legend of the Sword... has been a massive flop for Warner Brothers. And I predicted this back at Comic-Con when we were talking about Comic-Con news, because there's always one film that gets a big Comic-Con presence every year that bombs. The year before it was The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
And is Tomorrowland, yeah.
Yes, and now we've got King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, which for some reason had a Comic-Con trailer. I don't get it. But it was made on a $175 million budget, and it's made $121 million. Jesus. So this is gonna lose Warner Brothers.
They gave Guy Ritchie $200 million?
Yes, to make a film. Yeah, it's weird. I know that Guy Ritchie had success with the Sherlock Holmes films, but those are much broader in terms of appeal. And Charlie Hunnam,
had, Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, like Charlie Hunnam is a solid leading man, but I don't know if he gets audience like butts in seats. I don't think that he's at that stage of his career. So with this, like, it wasn't just a box office flop that critics loved. This is something that was also almost universally panned. So do you think that Disney are going to still let him do this Aladdin film, allegedly with Will Smith as the genie?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
It's Disney. I feel like they have nothing to worry about. Even if Aladdin flops, Mulan will make $3 billion because China. So I
China.
Yeah, they have nothing to worry about. I mean, first of all, it's not going to flop. It's going to do fine because Bob Iger's not an idiot, and he knows not to let Guy Ritchie do whatever he wants, because they're not going to let Guy Ritchie do whatever he wants. And at the same time, I just feel like Guy Ritchie as a filmmaker, he can clearly, because I've seen Man from U.N.C.L.E. and I've seen the Sherlock Holmes films. He had Snatch, didn't he?
Yes, and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
See, I really like Snatch. I feel like Disney's not going to let him make a terrible movie, but at the same time, Beauty and the Beast. So Beauty and the Beast made $1.3 billion, so what do I know?
Yeah, but Bill Condon's moving on to do Bride of Frankenstein.
Jesus. No. Is Jolie still attached to that one? Angelina Jolie still attached?
They are still in negotiations, apparently. Or they're still courting her for it, but they're going to see how The Mummy does, I'm assuming.
I think Mummy's going to do well, by the way. I'm actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've seen it next weekend.
Yeah, I don't trust the director, but I think Tom Cruise is done attaching himself to trash projects. Because I think after Oblivion burned him so much.
Yeah, and after Jack Reacher, he's never going back.
Yeah. Get out, Trilbee. Scram. Get out.
But yeah, I feel like if Guy Ritchie was a really hard director to work with, which I don't get that impression, but like, for example, when Josh Trank had that fantastic drama and he was going to do the Boba Fett Star Wars film and Disney very quietly booted him, then maybe that they would reconsider having him as part of Aladdin.
At D23 this year, they're going to be like, oh, sorry, Guy Ritchie had a cold, so he can't come talk about Aladdin.
but here, we've got Patty Jenkins who's directing Aladdin.
Here we go. Yeah, there it is. That's your thing, right? They're just like, oh, we're just going to... Ava DuVernay is going to do... Actually, she's doing A Wrinkle in Time, isn't she?
Yeah, but Ava DuVernay doing Aladdin, I'd love to see that. With an all-black cast.
Oh,
all-black cast doing Arabia.
The cast of Moonlight in Aladdin.
and there's so many people like on both sides of the political spectrum going, I don't know if this is insensitive. Make America confused again.
Have you ever listened to the Plumbing the Death Star guys, Sam Fans Radio?
I haven't,
those guys. Well, they always start their podcast with the name of their company, Sandpants Radio, and they always say something ridiculous. And I was just thinking about like if we were to start Movie Mania, you know those you ever seen those face masks that are meant to remove acne when you leave them on for long and you peel them off? Is that a thing in Britain?
Yeah. You put them like these strips on the bridge of your nose.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always thought about starting off with Movie Mania. Are those face masks blackface? And I always thought about asking that question.
Oh yes, I know which one. Yeah, with the cream that you put. Yeah,
yeah, those face masks blackface. Was that racist? Well, because like it was a random thought I had while I was sitting here waiting for you to be ready to record, and I was like, should I start the podcast by asking that question? And I thought I'd just throw it in here since we're just talking randomly at this point.
Considering the last podcast we talked about Get Out, so that would have been a really interesting tonal shift if people are marathoning these in order.
Yeah.
But so I think Aladdin is staying the course.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
So, do you have a question?
I can I was not ready. This is my bad, guys.
Oh, okay. Would you like me to go for another one, which you have responded? You've partially responded to, but Sean Alexander says, "Question for you. Spoiler for Alien Covenant, I guess. As Michael Fassbender made out with himself in the film, which actor/actress would you like to see have to do a love scene with themselves?" And yeah, there is a scene in Alien Covenant where the two. Where David lightly kisses Walter on the lips, and then for some reason he pins down the new Ripley. Forget her name already. Something Waterston. For some reason he pins her down, and there's some really weird parallels. I don't know what they're going for in that film, but actors/actresses who'd love to have a love scene with themselves.
Now, my 17-teenage-year-old brain can answer this two ways. He can either answer it in the way he's been wanting to see since he was 12, or he can answer it in the funny way, which is, I would love to see Will Smith make out with himself, which is just hilarious. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, and what's 12-year-old Trey been after?
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
I'm not saying
that. No, wait, now listen. It's Scarlett Johansson and Under the Skin, and Scarlett Johansson from The Winter Soldier. My two big Scarlett Johansson crushes. And it's all narrated by Scarlett Johansson from Her. And that, to me, is the ultimate thing ever.
And then all of a sudden, when both of those, once they've all finished, Scarlett Johansson from The Jungle Book comes along and eats them all.
Once they've all finished... I never want to hear you say that again, Shelby.
Once they've all finished.
Stop it. It's like a bandit starting to pour honey in my ears. Oh, my.
But I'm not saying I would necessarily enjoy this pairing, but I think if The Rock went on a date with The Rock... I just want to know what chat-up lines would they give themselves.
The Rock from Fast 5 and The Rock from Central Intelligence.
No, I'm more thinking The Rock from Fast 5 versus The Rock from Baywatch.
I haven't seen Baywatch.
I've not seen it either, but I still think that's the more interesting pairing.
Get me Christian Bale on the set of Terminator Salvation versus Patrick Bateman.
Now I'm just thinking, like, logistically, like, films which do have two actors fighting each other. Arnold Schwarzenegger's kind of like the mainstay for it, I guess, like, like after Terminator, Jenny Smith. What else is there? I'm not sure what else you could do, though. Well, how about young Michael Douglas from Ant-Man versus old Michael Douglas from Ant-Man?
Sharon Stone just comes in and snaps both of them with an ice pick.
This question got weird.
Obscure reference. All right, put it in the reference jar.
Oh god.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I would. It's like, can I get Mickey Mouse from the old 1930s cartoons versus Mickey Mouse from Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
That'd be interesting.
Chubby's just like, you know what?
I think there's something to that. Unfreeze Walt Disney, we got a movie to make.
Sam Jackson from Pulp Fiction versus Sam Jackson in Kingsman.
Well, I think that Ryan Reynolds would be fun. I feel like he'd be
Ryan
up
Reynolds
for it.
from Just Friends, the fat one, and versus the Ryan Reynolds from Life. The one that explodes and becomes a blood clot. Oh, spoilers. Sorry. You guys haven't seen Life.
I like how we're both going with guys.
Yeah. Because we don't want to appear creepy too much. I've already given you my creepy one. All right.
I know, but that's 12-year-old creepy. That's fine. Yeah. We all have that phase.
Give me. Give me Daisy Ridley in The Force Awakens versus Daisy Ridley in the trailer for Meridian Express.
Oh, 1 second. What film was it? 1 second. I'm trying to figure out
Alicia
what film
Vikander
it was.
from Ex Machina.
No, okay.
Vikander,
How about
Danish Girl?
No, Winona Ryder from Girl Interrupted. She was my like young crush as a teenager.
Versus Winona Ryder at like what was it, at the Emmys this year or something, where she was just on like she was
really drunk weird one,
clearly on something, and I want some.
That was fun.
Oh my god! Give me Michael Fassbender in 12 Years a Slave, and Michael Fassbender in Shame, and there'd be a real good a Steve McQueen matchup.
Okay, Johnny Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean and Johnny Depp from Edward Scissorhands.
Oh Jesus!
Just because I want to see what freaky stuff happens.
Give me Ralph Fiennes as Lord Voldemort versus Ralph Fiennes in Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh, couldn't you imagine Voldemort once he's finished?
We've had that conversation with like Bellatrix and Voldemort having a kid.
We have. And it all comes full circle.
Voldy checks into this hotel, and the concierge, the manager's just there, and he's just like, "I need my bags delivered." And like the concierge is just like, "Oh yes, absolutely, yeah." And just see, I'd pay a lot of money to see that.
Gosh.
All right. Do you have a question that showed me? Let me look, see if I can find one. Thank you, Trent, for
thank you.
Back.
Thank you for all that entertainment.
Yes. And to answer Aji, he is awake. He's at work.
Okay. Jack Critchley asks, French fries or onion rings?
Onion rings.
And I'm just here thinking, is it too much to ask for both?
There's a great commercial in America. I'm not sure if they have it over there in England.
Why can't we have both?
Yeah, the old El Paso, the tortillas. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like the other day I had met some friends for a meal and had a burger, and I had fries and a side of onion rings. What's wrong with that? Let's have both.
Maybe it's a choice of like
live a little.
Yeah, watch Wonder Woman and Guardians in the same day. Just kind of betray both sides. Alex Cepeda asks, after Wonder Woman getting superb views, are you looking forward to any of the other DCEU movies?
I'm looking forward to Justice League because it's Justice League, but I like how Aquaman seems to be shaping up. I think James Wan's going to do a good job with that. Yeah. I think there was the aesthetic looks awesome. Like I like the Amber Heard costume, and it just seems a lot more interesting than the armored look that she's getting in Justice League. Mm-hmm. I think it just seems a lot more Silver Age comic book.
I don't know about you, Trilbee, but Flash just looks like it's going to be an incredible adventure. I'm so excited to see how Flash is going to turn out.
Now, are you on about Flash or the documentary they make about the Flash? The death of the Flash, what happened?
Either or, man. Like, Flash is just, like... Flash is going to be like the fan force of whatever year it comes out. Cause it's just
Whoever
like,
loses, we win.
Yes, yes. If it sucks, incredible. If it's great, even better. Like, I just clearly Ezra Miller has chosen wrong when he chose to be the Flash. I do have a question for just like, I feel like Ezra Miller's Flash should be the surrogate character of the movie. Do you think they're going to go that right? Do you think they're going to make Ben Affleck just essentially the lead?
I think if somehow they started with Justice League, I think starting with the Flash would be a really interesting approach to take it. But considering this is the fifth film it'll be the fifth film in the DCEU. I think that leading with Batman and Wonder Woman, who are already the established characters, I think is the right way to go. And I think learning about the Flash and Cyborg and Aquaman through these characters that we're already established with, it just helps with the brevity. It helps to ease the audience into this world and to get them introduced to these characters. I think that the way that they're doing it, and I obviously wouldn't have killed off Superman, and I'd probably do something very, very different from the ground up, but the path that they're currently on, it's the best approach, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I do think... Because, I mean, I went back and rewatched the trailer recently, and I mean, they're gonna have to somehow fit in, you know, Barry's dad and all that stuff, and I just think I feel like the movie it's either gonna feel really bloated, or they're gonna have to focus on Flash more than other characters, because right now we don't have a lot of backstory for Aquaman, and maybe some of the additional stuff Joss Whedon is doing is adding some Flash stuff, because... You know, Joss Whedon loves the quippy stuff, and maybe in Flash has been known to be a very quippy character. So perhaps that's what they're trying to do. I don't know. I have a theory about the Flash being kind of the surrogate character.
Okay. But I'm just looking forward to the Flashpoint that they do. Yeah. Alright, once Justice League is over, they Flashpoint and reboot the whole thing.
Yes, and give me what's his name? Negan as Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne Batman, and I will be complete. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
No, Christopher Ryan, we can't trust Harvey Dent.
I don't know. He seems to be a stand-up guy. I'd vote for him.
Hold on, let me flip a coin on it. I don't know. Thanks, Trilbee. I'm glad someone laughed at that.
Someone had to.
Ow. All right. I think we've been going for 2 hours. I think we can end it here. What do you think, Trilbee?
Yeah, I think we've got... Although, one moment. Tom Quirk asks, has Trey seen the last episode of Series 4 of Sherlock? I think you said earlier that he hadn't.
Yeah, no, I watched it all when it premiered back in January. Yeah. Okay. Spoilers for Season 4 of Sherlock. Here's what I will say. There's definitely certain parts of it that were exceptional, but there were also parts of it that I think... They clearly wanted to have the reveal. They didn't earn their reveal. If she was in this series more, the series being this season, then having the grave or having the coffin represent. Have you seen season 4?
I have, yeah.
Having the coffin represent Molly Hooper would be more of a big deal if she had more than 12 seconds of screen time this season. Mm-hmm. Sherlock should be able to know what an empty room versus a pane of glass looks like. If I can know what an empty room versus a pane of glass looks like, Sherlock should be able to know. But there are just certain things I think maybe it's because I really like The Lying Detectives, the second episode of the season.
Yes, that's the best.
I really, really like that episode, and I think that the ending reveal works really well as well. But the idea of Sherlock having a superhuman sister kind of makes me a little uneasy. But I still really liked the episode. I thought the Redbeard twist was really well done. I thought it added a whole new level to Sherlock as a character. And going back and watching season 3, when he has that freak out and calls to Redbeard, I just get a little emotional. What do you think, Charlie?
See, I've not really thought much about Sherlock since it was broadcast, but I just remember the first episode being pretty lame.
Oh, I hate the first episode.
Yeah, the second one being actually genuinely entertaining, and the third one being good in the moment, but if you give it any scrutiny, it just kind of falls apart.
We agree completely. Well, that second episode feels like a classic episode of Sherlock, you know, where it's like, oh, we have this case, we gotta solve this thing with this guy. What's going on with this guy?
So that's probably why it's the best one of the three.
Yeah.
I think even there's some weird conspiracy theories from the Sherlock fandom saying that there has to be a secret 4th episode of Series 4 because the 3rd episode was deliberately written so poorly. That's some legit Tumblr fan theory stuff going on.
Well, there's always just that thing of like the 2nd episode in the season's never the best, and this is like the first time. Season 3, episode 2? No, season 3, episode 2 was the wedding one, right? No, never mind. Yeah, like there always has to be. It's always kind of the weaker one. Like, you know, the first season was like the teapot one, and then there was the Hounds of Baskerville. But I really liked the Lying Detectives. I thought Toby Jones was exceptional as the villain guy. He was so electric to watch, you know. And I really like that twist. How it was one word. He was gonna kill anyone. I really like that reveal. They have a really cool when he has that freak out in the middle of the street, and they have this really cool thing where like a curtain, like wallpaper rolls up behind him, and it becomes the set. I thought that was a really interesting effect. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they did stuff like that in Series 2 when they would like flip between real world and like the Mind Palace.
Yeah,
really interesting transitions.
The guy with the boomerang when he's talking with Irene Adler, that was great too. It reminds me of a lot of that stuff. I don't know. That to me felt like classic Sherlock. I don't know if Moffat wrote that episode, but it just felt like classic Sherlock.
I think he did. Right. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah.
Also, I feel like they felt cheap because they wouldn't let John just be a real human being and have an affair with somebody, because that's what people do. People go through that kind of thing, and people feel that kind of drama in their life, and
people are dicks.
Yeah, and sometimes people just do that, and I thought that would have been a really interesting way to take that character, but instead they're just like, oh no, he was just hypnotized by Sherlock's superhuman sister. I'm like, all right, well,
yeah, not great.
I guess. She was good, though. Everyone's really still good in it. Yeah. Does Mark Gatiss, does he still write for Sherlock?
He does, yeah. He actually wrote that Toby Jones episode.
Okay, well that makes sense. Well, tell you what. Maybe next time don't let him write a season, because he'll give himself a beefy part, and that's not, you know, maybe that should not have been Mycroft in there with him. It should have been Sherlock Watson and somebody else. Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, I love Series 1 and 2. I love both of them, but Series 3 really left a sour taste in my mouth. The special was pants.
I was going to say, we have to speak of the Christmas special.
Yeah, was Series 3 with the final villain, who basically, the big twist was that he had zero leverage, and thus there was no reason to not kill him, and he was the lamest villain in the history of anything.
See, I like certain parts of the Christmas special, because there was a part of it where they just felt like an episode of Sherlock Holmes, like just a Sherlock case. You know, this woman killed herself in the middle of the street. Why would she do that? And then she came back as a ghost. Oh, well, there's clearly something behind. Let's figure it out. But as it devolved, you can clearly tell that it's really one up themselves.
And they're trying to tie it into the present day narrative.
And they tried to shove their agenda down everybody's throat, and you know, there were some subtle undertones at first of like, oh, this woman's coming back for revenge for what her husband did, and there was clearly some undertones of freedom in there before, and then they're just like, oh wait, no, but the audience has done, and make sure we know we're feminists.
Yeah. But then the Christmas special ends with Sherlock saying, "Oh, Moriarty's, but I know exactly what he's going to do next." And then Series 4 starts with them saying, "So Sherlock, what's Moriarty going to do next?" Just wait. Yeah, there's a really terrific video by H Bomber Guy called "Why Sherlock Sucks." Sherlock sucks, and here's why. And as someone who loves Series 1 and 2. He's right on the money. Yeah, he's like, it's a terrific 2-hour video.
Yeah, I can't. It's a shame because I went back and rewatched, because my girlfriend's a really big Sherlock fan. Like, she loves Sherlock, Supernatural, all that Tumblr stuff.
The more shirtless men, the better.
Yeah, Super Hulock, she's all about that stuff. And yeah, I know. And so we went back and watched A Scandal in Belgravia, and it is so damn good. It's some of the best TV ever. I don't know, that every time it builds to that reveal with the phone, it just captivates me every time. Everything about that's just I don't know.
And I also love Hound of the Baskerville for its because it is standalone. I think while it's the weakest episode of that series, because I say series, there's 3 of them. But it's still a really great piece of television, I think. But then in Series 3, it does really start to lose itself.
Yeah. I did like the birthday thing. I think it's in episode 2 of the 4th season, where John's like, "Happy birthday, Sherlock." I'm like, that was a lovely... Of course, Irene Adler knows when his birthday is. I love that. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a nice little touch. And apparently the show is not currently going to get a 5th season. Apparently the ratings were so low that I'm like, well, there you go. That's what they get.
The ratings were still really good, but considering the amount of money that they pump into Sherlock, it has been a case of diminishing returns.
Yeah, which is a shame. That's whatever. There's so many other cases they can adapt.
I think it needs to end now. I think it's kind of gone off a cliff a bit.
All right.
I don't know. Hey, that's just me.
I can watch make deductions all day. I'm there. That's all. Oh, it's alright. I'll go back and revisit my first 2 seasons, and I'll be happy.
Oh yeah, those 2 still hold up.
And on that incredibly morbid note, thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. Other podcasting stuff. Join us next time, whenever that might be. Trilbee, where can people find you?
You can find me. I've done an update recently on my website talking about where I've been and what the future holds. That's on my website, www.trilbee.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Trilbee Reviews and on my Facebook at Mr. TARDIS Reviews. You'll find all my updates and everything there. Okay. And Trey, where can people find yourself?
They can find me right here on this YouTube channel, Podcast Media. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Podcast Media. My short film titled Equation is currently in the works. We have shown bits and pieces to other people, and they have a screaming family outside. And
if you want more of Trey's screaming family, you can go on. You can
find my house. I dare you. No, Equation.
It'll be easy to find your house. You just have to listen.
Yeah, it's currently they triangulate the location. It's currently in production. We've been we're pretty much just about almost done shooting. It's in the editing process right now, color correction and all that stuff. But overall, that should be out in the upcoming weeks, which I'm excited for. And that'll be on this YouTube channel as well, and you'll be able to find it there. So catch you all later. Our movie maniacs.